Hello everyone, this is Westinghouse WR55UT4212. The TV is plugged to the power and the standby light is just flashing like the TV is trying to power on. There is nothing on the screen. I removed the back cover and we have in this TV, there is a sample setup on this TV, main board, power board, and the T-con board is there. Is a LED, that's the backlight. Okay, so we're going to check the power of the B capacitor. We have 150 volt. So the TV is still in off mode or standby mode. We have a diode right there. That's the filtering diode. We check the power in the diode. And we have 12 volt and it's go down. So here is 12 volt, it's go down. So like there is a short or something stopping the voltage from going up. Alright, let's check if there is a short in the 12 volt line. There is no short there. Okay. And let's check the other coils and the main board. So no short. And we check some. That's an input capacitor and this is the output coils. Yeah, I don't see no short here, so why the voltage is dropping? Okay, let's plug it in to the power and we check the power in the coils. So we have 5 volt and it's dropping. The same as here is 5, then it will drop. That's why the standby light was like flashing. Here is 3.3, dropping. 1 volt and the same thing. 1.5 dropping. Volt. So we have all the voltages, why it keep dropping and there is no short in the coils. Well, basically we need, like when the voltage goes up, we need like, or when the TV is in the on mode, we need to have this capacitor like 390, because there is a circuit right here. That's a coil, and we have this transistor or this MOSFET to step up the voltage from 160 to 390. And this MOSFET here for the 12 volt output. This transformer, it has just one output. And this is the backlight. Even the backlight looks like it works because the voltage is high. You can see here 90 volt. Yeah, we have, so the voltage over there is up. Let's go 12 volt. What about if we disconnect this one? What are we going to have? 9 volt. Okay, so look like the main board is sending the signal for the power board to turn on, and sometimes it goes off quick. Alright, let's check the voltage here to see if it's gonna go high quick in the big capacitor. So 150, it should go up. It doesn't. So basically the FPC circuit is not on. So what I'm thinking is just like, if the FPC circuit is not on, the main board is going to turn on and sending the signal to the power board, and that 12 volt is not enough to power everything in the TV. It doesn't have enough amp. That's why everything is dropping. Okay, let me check the backlight just to be sure. Here we have 95, and I can see the backlight is on here. Yeah, I can see the backlight is on. So look like the LED backlights are good. Alright, let's take the power board. We do some check on it. Let's check the diodes. That's just the charge.
So delivered yesterday again.
Alright, we have no short. That's good. Right, so the switching circuit for the 12 volt is right here. And the FPC circuit switching IC should be this one. And when we press the power button, one of these optocouplers, they send the signal to the IC to start switching. Alright, let's check this diode for shorts. Yeah, that one. Could be this is for the backlight. And could be the 12 volt filtering capacitors are weak. And that's why the 12 volt is dropping. So we have 25 volt, these two capacitor, and we have 100 volt this capacitor. Maybe this is for the backlight voltage, and this one for the 12 volt. Is a 508 microfarad, 0.53 ESR. Yeah, that's good, because this is a 470 microfarad, and this is 500. So the capacitance is higher than what's in the capacitor. That's good. The capacitance is higher is good, but lower, more than 10% is bad. This is the same thing, 508.09 ohm. So that's very low ESR. So basically these two capacitors are good. So it's not a capacitor issue here. And this connector, we have the first 3 pins from here. It's for the backlight on and off and the backlight adjust. And we have the PS on. And the output to the main board from the power board is a 12 volt. The 12 volt will be sent to the main board, and main board is gonna lower that voltage to the 3 volt and send it to the PS on to turn on other parts in the power board. Because this board, it doesn't give the standby voltage to the main board. The main board that's making the standby voltage. Alright, I'm gonna solder a wire to the PS on pin, and I'm gonna give it 3 volt, then I will check the voltage again. I'm just checking to see if there is any cracked solder. The power supply is set up at 3.5 volt. And let's plug the power board. So, and here is the 9 volt. And if we give it 3.5 volt to the PS on, and we are going to see if everything, and if the PFC circuit is going to turn on. If it turns on, that time we may need to check the main board. Let's see. Okay, that's the ground, and I'm going to give it 3.5 volt. So let's check the big capacitor right here, which we have 150. So this, the on circuit, the PFC is not on when we give it a on signal. But let's see what we have in the 12 volt. Alright, here is a 12 volt. And the 12 volt is stable because there is no load. When we put the load, the 12 volt is going to drop because the PFC is not on. That 12 volt doesn't have enough amp. Alright, let's see what we have in the backlight. Alright, what about if we give the voltage to the backlight on? Is it gonna force the PFC to turn on, or the switch in IC is bad? Let's try that. I'm gonna try to put to turn on the backlight circuit. See, even if that 12 volt is gonna stay stable. Yeah, I shorted the pins, the on off for the backlight and PS on, to force the backlight circuit to turn on. Alright, so what we have, yeah, let's check if we have here is the 12 volt and this stable. Okay, here we have 3 volt that's coming from the power supply. And what about the PFC? The PFC is on. So it means the circuit IC is good. If we give the backlight on, the PFC turns on. Let's put it in the TV and see what we're gonna get. Yeah, I'm gonna leave the power button and the backlight on shorted. So the signal that's go to the power button is going to be the same signal as going to the backlight to force the PFC to turn on. Alright, let's plug it. And the standby light is flashing. There's nothing. I did see the backlight. So the backlight is on. Okay, let's see the PFC. If it is on, it's a 390, so that's good. And the 12 volt is stable. Okay, what we have here, that's 3 volt. That should be the backlight on. That's the power on. And this is the adjust for the backlight. We have the voltage there. So let's see if we have the picture. It works. But like if we press the power button, does the TV gonna go off? Yes, the TV goes off. Okay, let's see when the TV goes off if the voltages is gonna drop. Because we need to be sure the power supply is not gonna stay in the on mode. Yeah, it is in the on mode. So the TV, when it turns on fine, backlight, picture, everything works fine. But when the TV is off, TV is responding to the power button to turn it off. But the backlight is kind of still on. It's not completely off. It's very dim, but still on. And in the B capacitor, we have 390. So the power supply is on all the time. Even if the TV is off, the power supply is still on. The main board look like it's on as well. So the TV is still consuming the power. The power button and backlight. So we have 0.9. It doesn't go completely to 0. It stays at almost 1 volt. I'm gonna just disconnect the backlight, and automatically when the main board sends the signal to the power on, that signal is gonna turn on the backlight as well. It's gonna be like the backlight turn on with the TV on. So that's the backlight pin. And let's plug it. So yeah, the TV turns on, the backlight is on because it's shorted to the on pin and the power board. And what the voltage in the backlight is at 3 volt. And 3 volt in the power button. I'm going to turn off the TV and see if it's going to go completely off. Yeah, the backlight it goes dim. It's not. Yeah. And here is the backlight when it's on. And I'm gonna turn it off, and you're gonna see it just get dim. It just get dim like that. The screen is off. The power on button still have 3 volt. So look like the power button, the power on, it's always sending the signal from the main board. And here on the big capacitor is the power supply in on mode. Yeah, it's a 390. So In this moment, still not sure if the main board is always sending the signal to the power supply on pin, or something wrong with this board, the power board. Let me remove the power on that's coming from the main board, and I'm going to use the backlight pin because both of them is shorted in the side of the power board. So like now we are using the backlight on to turn on the power supply. That's the power supply on. So it's already removed. Yeah, the TV chair is on. Yeah, I got the picture. So it's mean the PFC is on. Here is 390. And here the PS on, we have 0 volt here. No. The PS on is a 3 volt. So if I turn off the TV, the TV is responding to the power button and the remote, and I see the backlight is completely goes off. So here the power button is stuck at the 3 volt. But let's see the PFC here in the power supply. $150. So the power supply now is in an off mode. And we have 9 volt over there. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to disconnect the PS on pin and using the backlight pin. So to turn on the TV on and off. Yeah, the TV turns on fine. Picture looks good. So this is all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you again.